there. I got him. There he is. Little Jack. Turn around. Hello, I just wanted to do a review of my Garmin Panoptix setup. Seen several on YouTube where they use the ice fishing setup that Garmin sells, and people complain that it's heavy, you know, cumbersome, and I didn't like that either, so I didn't actually buy the ice fishing setup. I made my own. I just want to show how I set it up. Basically installed the monitor system inside a toolbox that's got a handle, and what's great about this toolbox is it's got spots to put all your things for getting the fish hooks out, gloves. I got my hooks down here, so I'm all set up for going out and fishing. And the way I built this setup is I just put some plastic pipe on the back side and then an extension that goes out over the hole. And this PVC pipe, I used a valve setup so that I can actually spin the head just like they do on the Garmin unit. The big difference is that I'm spinning a cord down the hole as opposed to spinning a pole, but it makes it a lot more easy to set up for virtually any depth by just letting the cord out, using this clamp to get it deeper or shallower, and it makes it much lighter. Probably the number one benefit is I can grab this whole unit with one hand by just using the handle and picking the whole thing up. The transducer comes out of the hole and I can carry it to the next hole or wherever I want to go. I also have it set up with this red secondary line on there. You see what that does. So it's got the head set up, so if you pull the red line, it'll actually lift up the transducer on an angle. So I'm just going to wrap it around here a couple times. And then what you see is the transducer is actually on an angle now, as opposed to pointing down. So this thing can look out or down, but that can be done from surface. You don't have to pull the transducer out to do that. And then just on the unit over here, now that it's pointed forward, this works two different ways. There's an auto setup, but it doesn't always work, I've found. So you just switch it to forward. And now it's starting to look out instead of down. And then the same thing, you can spin this here to make it look in different directions. As I spin it, you can see that it'll change what it's seeing because it's looking in a different direction. You can look down the hole and see it. As I spin it, up here it spins on the cord as opposed to on a post. But it works just as good as being on a post. And then the other thing that I had to address, the Garmin setup comes with a fairly large, heavy battery. What I did instead was I used these two 3S batteries. So these are from RC Cars, is where I got them. So these are 3S batteries, 7,000 milliamp hours, and you need two of them, one for the Panoptix and then one for the actual sonar. I measured the draw on the two units and they're virtually identical. So in the top left corner you can see the 11.7 volts. Fully charged would be 12.6 volts, and fully discharged would be 9.4 volts. So what I found is you can easily fish 9 hours with this configuration or more. You can see it's noon here. I've been out since 9 this morning and I've lost a bolt, just leaving it run all the time. And the big difference with these batteries, in my mind anyways, is they don't weigh nothing. They're about a ½ pound each. So the whole setup, the weight's down dramatically. It's not much heavier than a traditional fish finder. It is a little bit because you got the screen set up. But the batteries are no heavier, the transducer is no heavier, this plastic is maybe a little bit heavier. But the overall setup is very similar to a traditional fish finder setup, but you get the benefit of the Panoptix. Anyways, just want to go over this setup for people to see. Other things, I got this little bag on the end here that I put the transducer in when it comes out of the water wet, and this pipe just screws off so that it gets shorter for when I put it in the truck or on your ATV or whatever. But it's very portable, very light, lasts all day easily. You know, it can do forward and down simply at surface here without any real complications. There, I got him. There he is. Little Jack. Turn around. Originally, before buying this Panoptix setup, I bought a downhole camera because I really like the idea of seeing the fish and seeing what they're doing with respect to the lures. And the problem I had with the camera, number one, the way it came from the store was very heavy. It would have needed some sort of lithium battery upgrade or something to get it sort of a little bit more lightweight. And the other issue I had, the very first lake I took it to, I couldn't see anything. It was a murky lake and we couldn't see bottom, and it didn't work at all. So ended up taking that back to the store and then bucked up for the Panoptix, which obviously is much more expensive. But the real benefit was it didn't matter what kind of lake and what kind of water and what kind of depth or any of those issues. You were able to see the fish, see how the fish interact with your bait. Whether they're swimming up to it, down to it, coming in sideways, fast, slow, whatever, you could tell what was going on with the fish. So it's a much more versatile system than a camera, I'd say, and gives you very similar information. You can't tell the species of the fish. You can make guesses based on size and what they do, but you don't know that till you pull one out of the water, which a camera would give you, I guess. That'd be if you could see it and if you could get it on the camera. The other thing that makes a big difference is I often fish out of the same hole as the Panoptix system if you're moving around a lot. Whereas a camera, I think that's virtually impossible to do. You always need a double hole setup. So if you're moving a bunch, this system is superior by far. One of the big upgrades over a camera, even though it gives you camera-like information. But that's the full setup. Pretty straightforward. I don't consider it any heavier than a traditional one, considering I got my gear in here. It's pretty easy to transport this in a hand auger, and you can move all over the lake. Have the Panoptix able to see the fish really clearly, and help you catch more fish. Anyways, thanks.